Suzuki has always been known for giving us cute and quirky little cars, but I feel that they've gone a little bit overboard with their latest offering. Just when you thought that you couldn't get any smaller and quirkier than the venerable Jimny, they give us this. This is Suzuki's latest hatchback slash crossover slash K car, the Suzuki S-Presso GL. And in this video, we get to drive it. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Reagan Strides family. If you're my subscriber already, thank you so much for your support by watching this video. Also special thanks to Suzuki Manila Bay for this awesome opportunity to feature the Suzuki S-Presso GL. If you have a need for any Suzuki vehicle, you may head on down here to Suzuki Manila Bay and check them out. For any inquiries, you may also contact the person in my description below. The Suzuki S-Presso comes in as the smallest Suzuki that you can buy in the local market. Now considering that Suzuki makes truly tiny cars, the fact that this baby comes in as the smallest of the bunch means that it's practically a golf cart except it has air conditioning and 4 doors. Now the Espresso may look like an SUV or even a crossover, but let's look at it for what it truly is. It's a small city hatchback even though it looks like an SUV from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's meant to be an affordable city runabout that could still seat 5 people. Yeah, right. That's something that I'd like to see a little later on. Now, locally, we get only a sole variant of the Espresso in the market, and that's a GL that I have here. This baby retails for 518,000 Philippine pesos. Now, 518,000 pesos is normally a down payment for other cars, so let's see how much car you get in your Espresso. The tiny form factor of the Espresso means that it needs to puff up its chest a little bit more and project a little bit more power, especially here in the front fascia. You get a squared-off mug here that resembles the new Jimny. No wonder a lot of people mistake this for a micro SUV. You also get large, wide-open halogen headlights here that are pretty rugged looking, and you also have a design cue in the middle that resembles the nostrils of a gorilla. This is not a functional grille, guys, but rather more of a design piece. The front grille can be found here in the bottom, where it integrates quite well with the large plastic black front bumper. You also get some blanks here, so that's safe to say, guys, that for 518,000 Philippine pesos, you don't really get something as fancy as fog lights. Now, I love the way that they styled this Espresso. It's brutish, it's snub-nosed, and it's quite mean-looking in a cute sort of way. It reminds me of Bunny Rabbit in The Secret Life of Pets. The side profile of the Espresso shows you just how tiny this car is. It does get some muscular wheel arches here that further gives it a puffed up look to make it look a little bit bigger. However, the side profile reminds me of some of the 80s city cars like the Toyota Starlet or the Mini Cooper that Mr. Bean drives. However, the Espresso is the lifted version because this baby sports one of the highest ground clearances that you can see in a city car. The ground clearance of the Espresso stands at 180 millimeters, which is crossover territory already. The Espresso is marketed primarily in India, and I dare say that the road conditions there might be pretty similar to the ones found here in Manila. Now for your wheels and tires, you get 14-inch steelies here that have hubcaps on them, and they're wrapped in tires that are 165/70 R14 tires. Behind those wheels, you get ventilated disc brakes up front and drum brakes at the rear. When you get to the rear end of the Espresso, you'll see that the rear end is a little bit on the bland side. If you want a little bit more pop, you might as well get it in this red or orange color so that the other drivers of bigger cars could also see you better at night. You have a C-shaped tail light here with the incandescent bulbs, and you have a sole reverse light that's found here on the left side because, well, it's a little bit of a concession to the budget. Now, what surprised me, guys, is that the Espresso also has rear parking sensors, something that I didn't really expect, especially for its price point. However, if you need to open your liftgate, you'll have to use your physical key because there's no nifty buttons that can be found here to open your trunk. Now, when you pop open the liftgate, you'll see that the Espresso boasts 239 liters of trunk capacity, something that's quite a bit of a surprise considering the small footprint of this tiny car. Now, to see how much 239 liters of trunk capacity is when it comes to luggage, let's see my luggage test. I brought with me here my medium-sized luggage, and let's see if this baby will fit inside the Espresso. There you go. As you can see, a medium-sized luggage with a maximum capacity of 23 kilos can easily fit inside the Suzuki Espresso. However, I noticed that the trunk lip opening is a little bit on the high side. So if that luggage is a little bit on the heavy side as well, you'll need to use a little bit more muscle to lift it up and put it inside your Espresso. At least it still fits inside the trunk. Key. Now, the Espresso is probably a vehicle that you wouldn't really be driving too fast. The reason behind that, guys, can be found under the hood. All Espressos in the local market sport a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine that is good for a whopping 67 horses and 90 Newton meters of torque. Power is sent to the front wheels via the only transmission option in the market, which is a 5-speed manual transmission. Don't really get any automatic transmissions here. Now, the power figures of the Espresso wouldn't make it win any drag races, but you could bet your Espresso that, this baby will give you a stellar fuel economy. Quoted fuel economy figures come into as much as 15 kilometers per liter in the city and a whopping 25 kilometers per liter in the highway. Now, that is pretty phenomenal. Getting a full-blown brand new car for 518,000 Philippine pesos is quite a feat, but Suzuki managed to pull it off with their Espresso. Now, having said that, guys, you do lose out on some cabin amenities and some creature comforts here inside. First up, your instrument gauges are not mounted right there in front of the driver, but rather found here in the center in this nice circular center housing that is quite reminiscent of some of the offerings from Mini. You do get a digital speedometer here, but you lose out on a tachometer. That's right, guys. This is one of those vehicles that you'll have to learn to shift by ear because you don't have a tachometer gauge right there, similar to the Suzuki APV. Now, for your seats, guys, the seats are wrapped in fabric. Really quite expected for the price. I was quite surprised, guys, when I found that the seats are quite comfortable. They're on the firm side, but they're not really that thin and hard to sit in. I was expecting like thin cardboard type seats, especially for the price, but that's not the case for the Espresso. These seats are quite comfortable. Your steering wheel is also made of urethane, not really a big issue and quite expected. And you don't really get any buttons here except for your horn button. Now, the horn of the Espresso is 10 times more durable than the other car horns in the market because the Espresso is primarily made for the Indian market. And the good folks at India would love to really use their car horns. The steering wheel is not tilting or telescopic though, it's fixed in place. If you want that kind of feature, you're gonna have to pony up for a little bit more cash. And if you want to adjust your side mirrors, you'll have to use your hand because these are manually adjustable side mirrors. You do get, central door locks here, and you get power front windows, and the front window switches can be found right here in the center. They're not on the door panels. The good thing though is Suzuki listens to their Espresso buyers and owners, and they know that the Espresso drivers would value connectivity. So that's why Suzuki gives us this 2-DIN touchscreen Bluetooth infotainment system that is pretty decent actually. For the price point, I wasn't expecting to see something like this. Now, you also get a manual climate control system here, quite expected there. And you also got a couple of charging ports here, a 12-volt outlet and a USB port, and a couple of smallish cup holders. Now, the cup holders are a little bit on the small side, so let's see if it passes my Clean Canteen test. Nope, sorry, it doesn't pass. It doesn't fit, guys, so that is a fail there. You get your shifter here for your 5-speed manual and a traditional handbrake here. You don't get a center armrest. That's not something that you could really expect at its price point. Now, when you look at the dashboard of this Espresso, you'll see that the materials used are all hard plastics. Really quite expected at this price. But the way they designed the dashboard is it's got a lot of these nice textures and nice lines here and there. It's quite fun, it's quite quirky, and quite cool to look at, guys. Now, let's head over to the back seat and see if this Espresso could truly seat 5 people. The back seat of the Espresso is the epitome of Spartan. The seats themselves don't have any contours for your butt or your back. They're just flat bench-type seats that are, you know, just flat, I guess. Yeah, but the good thing here, guys, is despite the small footprint of this Espresso, you've got a good amount of space here in the back seat. I'm 5'6", and this is my normal driving position. And as you could see, I got a ton of knee room here. I'm looking at nearly a foot of knee room before my knee would touch the seat back of the driver's seat. The leg room is also quite good, but the headroom is just decent. I'm looking at around 4 or 5 inches of headroom before I touch the headliner, guys. Now, if you are north of 6 feet, then you'd probably have an issue sitting here at the back. You'd probably just sit in the front. And to answer the question, could you fit 3 adults here at the back? Yes, if you're an average Asian like me, 5'6", maybe a maximum 5'8", you could put 3 people here, but it's gonna be a little bit on the tight side. But if you are bigger than me, guys, well then, it's better to keep it to just 2 passengers at the rear end. Otherwise, well, the 3 might end up being lovers at the end of your trip. Now for toys, guys, don't really ask me for toys because there's no toys that can be found in the Espresso. Not that you should expect it, especially at this price point. You do get a bicep-powered window opener here. So as you can see, this is a pretty fun toy that you could use to exercise those arms. Now anyway, let's hop back to the driver's seat and take this baby out for a spin just to see what kind of driving characteristics it can show us on the road. Alright guys, so we're now behind the wheel of the Suzuki Espresso, and the first thing that I noticed is the seating position. I mean, you are seated so upright, like you're on a dining chair. Yeah, it doesn't have that car-like car seat feel to it. It feels more like I'm piloting a truck, although a very small truck at that. But yeah, the seating position is quite vertical and quite upright. Now, that's not the only thing that's vertical in this baby because, well, the Suzuki Espresso's windshield is also quite vertical as well. You've got a Suzuki Jimny vibe going on with, with your windshield. It's very vertical, very upright. And you also have the same kind of effect with your side windows, which means that the visibility of this baby is quite decent. It's pretty good. Wow! Now when it comes to the air conditioning, I'm happy to report to you guys that the air conditioning, despite being a manual climate control system, is pretty cold. It's a pretty hot day today. It's like around 38 degrees Celsius now, hot and sunny, but I'm not really feeling that kind of heat inside the Espresso. And that's pretty good. Another good thing that I noticed with this car is the ergonomics. Now despite having such a no-frills, simple cabin, well, this Espresso's ergonomics is pretty decent. Everything falls into proper place. You just have to get used to that upright sitting position at the start, in the first couple of minutes that you drive this thing. But once you get used to it, I mean, wow! It feels so natural to drive. Well, as natural as a truck. But you get my drift. Now the horn may be on the durable side, guys, but well, the horn is still as tinny as some of the usual Japanese offerings out there. This is the horn. Again. It's tiny, it's cute, and it's quite suited to this car. Now I'm going through a not so smooth road here, and maybe you could already see it in the way my camera is jarring all about there. Well, but wow, yeah, the suspension, it's not really plush, okay? It won't be accused of being plush. It won't be accused of being soft. It's okay. I mean, it's a basic car with a basic suspension. All right, a little bit on the stiff side, a little bit more on the utilitarian side, guys. So yeah, suspension-wise, nothing to write home about. NVH-wise, well, it's also not really spectacular. Of course, you'd expect that for a car that's priced at this level, at 518,000 pesos, you wouldn't expect stellar NVH in here. All the road imperfections will be transmitted to you in the cabin. There's going to be a lot of vibrations. You could actually see it in the way my camera is shaking all around there. Yeah, so that's one of the drawbacks of having a budget city car. Now, normally I also do some acceleration runs in my test drives, but with 1 liter and 3 cylinders, yeah, let's give it one pass. One pass. Okay? Let's see how it performs. All right, let's try it here. Okay. Yeah, so it has some form of acceleration. I'll give it that. It's not going to win any drag races, as I mentioned. Is it good enough to pass on the highway? Yes, but you'll have to plan your overtaking maneuvers very, very carefully when you're doing that in your Espresso. Man, yeah. So, granted guys, you didn't buy this because it's a speed demon, okay? You wouldn't be getting an Espresso because you're going to take it on the drag strip. It's not gonna happen, guys. So overall, yeah, is this as basic as any basic car can get? Well, yes, it is. It's functional, it's pure function, it's comfortable in terms of the climate control, not really that comfortable in terms of NVH because you could hear everything outside. It actually feels like I'm driving a convertible with a soft top. It's that noisy. Yeah, in terms of the ride quality, you really can't expect too much. But it delivers where it matters, guys. You've got a small city car that you could easily pilot around tight city roads. And yeah, for a little bit over $500,000 pesos, that's not such a bad deal. The Suzuki S-Presso may be the smallest and cheapest brand new Japanese car that you can buy in the local market, but it delivers a big punch when it comes to the practicality and coolness factor. Despite its small footprint, it could still take you to rough and tumble places while still looking cool at the same time. It's a quirky and fun to drive city car for the practical person on a budget. And it's proven to all of us that you could still get a dependable brand new car for the price of a crossover down payment. Thanks for watching.